session, we have another excellent keynote speaker to talk on the topic Assessment and Monitoring of Learning, Challenges in Online Modality. Allow me to introduce him first. Our speaker is an Associate Professor 3, currently the Director for Finance and Administration of PNU South Luzon, and serve as concurrent Head for Knowledge and Management Office. He holds a Master of Arts in Education, specializing in Language and Literacy Education at the University of the Philippines, and a Bachelor of Secondary Education degree, major in English, at the Philippine Normal University, South Luzon. Aside from obtaining doctoral units in the Doctor of Communication program at the University of the Philippines Open University, he currently works on his dissertation for PhD in Knowledge and Innovation Management at the Institute for Knowledge and Innovation, Southeast Asia, Bangkok University, Thailand. He has been a research paper presenter, author, module writer, training organizer, facilitator, and project coordinator of international and local ICT-based projects in the basic and tertiary education levels, whose innovative ideas, projects, researches, specifically short film project on UNESCO Better Learning, Better Life, he dubbed as Learning Out of the Board and Beyond, are recognized at the local and international levels. His current areas or fields of interest for research and explorations are not limited to organizational communication, knowledge management, mobile learning, social media in education, cross-cultural cyber classroom, collaborative projects, and educational networking, training, and extension activities. Let's all welcome and listen to Professor Reynold M. Cacho.
Sir Christopher.
Hello po, good afternoon po.
Sir, may we know kung... Yes sir, nakikinig ka po namin. May we know kung saan po kayong affiliated institution?
Ako po Baptist Boys Bible College, Lucena City po sir. Baptist Boys Bible College, Lucena City.
Okay. And then we have Ma'am Vanessa, I think. Si Ma'am Vanessa.
Yes, hello sir. Good afternoon po. Vanessa Subieta from Southern Luzon State University, Lokban po.
Okay, and then we have Ma'am Carlene. Ma'am Carlene, are you there? Parang medyo nagkakaproblema. Ma'am Isabel.
Hi po, Doc. Good afternoon po.
Hello po. Good afternoon po. Sorry po sa
Yes, sige po. Si Ma'am Isabel po muna, then Ma'am Carlene.
Hi po. So, good afternoon po. So, Isabel Nada po from SAI College, Lucena.
Okay, and then Ma'am Carlene.
Hello po. Good afternoon po. Carlene Gaaminya po from STI College, Lucena din po. Thank you po.
Okay, magkasama pala kayo ni Ma'am Isabel. And then we have Miss Hannah.
Hello po, good afternoon po. I'm from PNU SL po, technical staff po.
Okay, and then we have Dr. Ruel.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to all members of or all persons who are present inside. I'm from
PNU. Yes po. And then we have Dr. Balagtas.
Good afternoon, everyone po. I'm Ami Balagtas from MSCUF Candelaria branch.
Okay po. Now we are on the third focus group discussion po, and we have a really nice conversation and a topic on assessment. Okay. So based on the context, I'm trying to look into, Miss Hannah, pwede bang hindi ko makita yung big question na in-raise ni nasaan siya? Nawala yung sinulat ko. Yung in-raise ni Sir Professor Ray. Tingnan ko kung i-print screen ko siya. So mainly, it's talking about the learning experiences that we wanted to give to the students. That is the first one, I think. And then the second one is on the challenges, okay, that we are facing in realizing these learning experiences. But yun yung una, the learning experiences that we wanted to create. And then we have the second is on the challenges. Pero siguro ang aking pong gusto ko pang small questions natin is this new normal really challenges our way of assessment. So, kasi na-question natin yung traditional assessment natin based on exams, di po ba? Siguro it will be better muna to just narrate. Kasi I know na nabanggit nga po ni Dr. Balagtas na we are ending into towards final exam, then all of a sudden it's lockdown. And then there's a problem now with our assessment. So can you tell us muna your experience on that? Then we go into a bigger question later on. Sino po yung mauuna? Siguro mauna muna tayo sa kay Ma'am Isabel para at least tayo about yung assessment since you are from STI and centralized I think yung assessment din sa STI.
Yes po, sir. Sa assessment po kasi namin, before po is, yun nga po, centralized na po siya. So, we're just waiting yung every prelim, midterm, pre-finals, and finals po. So, we are waiting na lang po dun sa isa-send sa amin ng head office na assessment nung yung exams nga po. And then, nung nagkaroon nga po nung pandemic, so, natigil po yun. So, parang nag-antay po kami, I think 2 months po bago po magkaroon ng final assessment nung last semester. And then, ang nangyari po dun sa final assessment namin last term is online na nga po siya. So, dahil nga po we have na our learning module system. And then, online na po siya na kung saan yung mga students po is binigyan sila ng 1 week parang at their own pace. So, parang bahala po sila kung anong time nila sasagutan yung assessment nila for each subject. Kumbaga, with a span of 1 week po para sa mga subjects.
So, meaning to say, Ma'am Isabel, you did not shift from the traditional assessment because it's centralized. Diba? I think sa STI is from the main campus down to
Yes,
its extension campus. That is almost the same assessment.
Nag-shift din naman po kasi yung sa before po ay yung mga written exams din po siya. And then noon nga pong nagkaroon ng pandemic para po ma-end po namin yung semester namin last time is yung final exams po is through LMS na nga lang po.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma'am Isabel. This one is actually tingin ko, Ma'am, yung assessment natin or mga sir, yung mga naging assessment natin is really individualized na kasi parang all of a sudden we're actually in shock on how are we going to assess our students in the time of pandemic. Ma'am Sarmiento, can you share us your experience on that?
Okay, so since sa amin po hindi centralized, so ito lang yung personal experience ko po nung biglang nag-lockdown. Kasi ang hinahandle ko po during that time, may academic writing sa art appreciation. So for academic writing po, wala naman talagang major shift po dun sa assessment. Kasi nga, writing po siya. So basically, research-based yung mga assessment doon. And then, with regard dun sa art appreciation, so meron talaga dito major shift kasi kung dati parang meron kaming ang tawag doon, mga theater productions, something like that. Ngayon, hindi na pwede kasi kaya para mga simulated through videos na lang yung activities nila. So, para project-based ang nangyari po. That's my personal experience.
Okay, thank you very much. Kay Ma'am Vanessa naman po.
Yes po, hello, good afternoon po ulit. Sa amin po kasi last sem po, to give way po doon sa gap, nagpapadala po kami ng mga modules and learning activities na kung saan i-accomplish po nila for a month. So, ganun po yung ginawa po namin for that particular months po. And for this SEM po, actually nag-migrate po kami sa bagong flexible grading system wherein we focus more on performance output rather than written exam.
Okay.
Yun po, sir.
And then, I think si Sir Chris.
Hello, sir. Um, our challenge is actually is because we are just a small institution, no? Probably we only have 36 students. So our challenge is we don't have the resources that the bigger universities have. So ang ginawa namin, we need to multitask. So we don't actually so ang challenges na meron kami kasi nga ang mga assessment ngayon is from objective or from qualitative quantitative naging qualitative na eh. So ang challenge is yung aming mga staff, yung aming mga professors doesn't have many of them doesn't have the capability to ship immediately. So ang aming challenges ngayon is to have more trainings. That's why we attended trainings like this one para kami ma-educate paano magkaroon ng paano maging flexible yung aming assessment para magkaroon ng mas marami pang ideas para sa qualitative assessments na ngayong ini-implement namin.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Chris. Dr. Balagtas po.
So good afternoon po. Actually po, the assessment that we do here in our school is not entirely different from what we used to do during the face-to-face learning. The only difference here, of course, is the examination, the mode of the examination is given online. Our challenge here, which we really experience is, let's say, we time it really for 1 hour. So we will say it's 3 o'clock, then it will be locked at 4 o'clock. Then some students would say, Mom, I was at my last 10 minutes of the exam, I lost my connectivity. When I regain the connectivity, your class is already locked. It's like, oh my God. So these are just part of the challenges that but the thing is, there is no far difference with the assessment that we give them. Now, ang akin pong concern na Dr. Benes is, yung bagang pag-standardize natin ng mga pag-grade, that to me is a problem eh. Kasi di ba we used to have, let's say, percentage for quizzes and recitations and attendance, certain percentage, then a certain percentage, let's say, for the prelims, then the same percentage again for the prelim, and then the midterm, and then at the end of because we normally encode our grades every midterm. After the midterm, we encode the grades. So it still follows the same percentage. Let's say 40% of the total prelims and 60% of the total midterm, that will be her grade in the midterm. Parang may problema kami dyan because not all students can submit the performance tasks simply because of some problems on connectivity.
Okay.
Yun lang po ang pinaka-concern ko talaga.
So, ibig sabihin, ma'am, sa ngayon, it's still the same policy. For example, for prelim, for midterm, for let's say semis, also. How about, tingnan muna natin. Kasi ngayon kasi I think nakukuha ko na yung theme nung trajectory nung ating conversation. We can talk about platforms of assessment, another one. But ngayon, you're raising the issues on a certain practices of assessment in the institution, because platform is just a platform. Yes. But the assessment of a certain institution tells us something about the learning experiences as well, consequently.
Yes, exactly.
Tingnan ko rin lang po kung whether it's still the same with LSU and also STI. Do you still have that standardization of percentage para we can look at it in that perspective? Siguro si Ma'am Charlene muna kasi you are from the same institution, right, Ma'am Isabel? So, yes, Ma'am Charlene.
Actually po, meron po kaming centralized nga po yung aming assessment. So, from the head office po, meron po siyang rubrics. Tapos may guide po doon. And kung halimbawa po, meron pong content, grammar, and ganun, organization of ideas. And kung for example, 1 to 10 po yung i-assess natin dun sa examination or specific examination, magiging po siyang, meron po siyang certain rubrics na nasusundin po. Ganun po yung sa amin from the central, from the head office po.
But Ma'am Charlene, do you still follow, for example, prelim, midterm? This is the
Yes po.
first stage?
Yes
Okay.
po.
Okay, it's the same. From SLSU, Ma'am Vanessa.
Sir. What's the question po ulit, sir? Sorry po.
It's about the institutional assessment directives. For example, the percentage, do you still follow? Kasi it has been raised by Dr. Balagtas that she has problem with standardization. Particularly, for example, prelim 20%, midterm 20, quiz, and etc.
Sir, medyo nagdi-disconnect po ako, sir. Sorry.
Okay po, sige.
Sir.
Kanino
Sorry
tayo
po.
sunod? Sir Chris.
But, sorry.
Yes, sir. Yes, Ma'am Vanessa.
Yes, sir. Sir, pag na lang po, pag nakat lang po ako, medyo hindi po stable yung internet connection ko right now in our library. So, sir, gaya ng po rin sinabi ko kanina, we shifted, we have this proposed change of grading system po na we focus on performance rather than the long quiz. And there's a proposal din po na 2 term ang gamitin namin since we started late for this semester. But still, it's in process pa rin po, sir.
Okay po. Sige. Next ay Sir Chris.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yung question kanina about the institutional directives into assessment.
Yes, sir. We still have, we still have the standards. We still have the percentage scores, something like that. So, however, we will be using the rubrics, but it has a numerical value. So that's what we will be doing, or we are doing.
Okay po. And then next is siguro medyo maganda critical yung ni-raise na question ni Dr. Balagtas eh. Particularly with these directives, okay pa po ba? With these directives, nakikita ko po na parang, di ba, ngayon it lead us to a better understanding of the formative and summative assessment. Pero the directives somehow confuses this formative and summative assessment. Yun yung nakikita kong isang problema. I raised these issues on kanina sa plenary kasi sinabi ko kay Sir Ray. Kasi pag private institutions, prelim, you need to pay for tuition fee. So that's why there is an exam. Kasi ngayon pababaan ng down payment eh. Di ba? Di ba, Dr. Balagtas? Pababaan ng down payment and then staggered yung payment. And just for them to pay,
Correct.
you're going to have an exam. But the exam is not summative. It's not formative, but it becomes summative na. And then naging percentage na. So, pero it lead us to a realization that it created a very different learning experience. But based on your, for example, in your long teaching experience, Dr. Balagtas, why there is a problem on this standardization?
It used not to be a problem. It wasn't used. It doesn't used to be a problem. It becomes only a problem now, since we cannot make demands to the students. Let's see on the quizzes, submission of quizzes and projects. We cannot make great demands among the students because they have limitations. There's no problem also with the major exam because everybody, ang mga Filipinos, very serious sila when it comes to major exam. Pero pagdating po doon sa mga formative ones, like quizzes, recitations, and everything, there goes the problem. Unlike in the face-to-face where you always meet them very, very regularly, very, very few naman yung talaga magko-commit ng absenteeism. But now that we are on the virtual session and blended learning, that becomes now a problem because not everybody can be there to recite, or maybe their connectivity
dito sa virtual, hindi mo masabi kasi minsan hindi mo naman mapilit na mag-open sila ng cam because of minsan connectivity din. Gawa ng
Maybe this is the answer on the challenges on the assessment of learning during the time of pandemic. I am for the qualitative assessment, not on quantitative, in order to avoid cheating. So I am after the finished product. So that was my question before. Thank you.
Okay, sir. And then, Ma'am Giselle Sarmiento, listening from the younger ones, I think.
Parang nakaka-relate kasi po ako kay, hello po ulit. Nakaka-relate po ako kay Doc Ami kasi pareho po kami ng institution, nasa main lang po ako. Since yung directives po kasi galing din po dito sa amin sa main. Siguro po yung sinasabi niya po, kasi very flexible po ang university namin para sa concerns ng mga estudyante. Actually po, parang meron kami na bawal mag-fail ngayon during the pandemic. And so the students are allowed actually to submit even after the finals. They have 1 year to comply for those to comply the requirements, and then only then after the 1 year only then na pwede kaming magbagsak kung hindi sila makaka-comply within that grace period.
Okay po.
Kasi ang hirap po talagang parang yung engagement ng student to comply with the requirements, parang ang hirap pa rin nga yun yung challenge namin ngayon. Nahirapan namin i-encourage sila na mag-submit naman. Pero so far yun that was before this semester nung nabiglang lahat yung half of the sem nung second sem, yun parang nabigla lahat yun. Pero ngayon siguro nai-encourage na rin naman namin yung mga estudyante to submit kasi sila din naman yung mahihirapan sa bandang huli pag nag-pile up yung mga requirements nila.
Okay po. And then, Ma'am Munet.
Yes, sir. Hello po. We're from the same university po, ni Ma'am Jassel saka ni Ma'am Ami. Probably with regards po siguro dun sa percentage distribution nung examination, quizzes, and others, naka-indicate naman po sa syllabus namin kung ilang percentage po ang i-consider namin dun sa particular activity ng estudyante. It's just that yung 60% is allotted for the major examinations. So the same pa rin po, yun nga po yung problem, yung submission ng mga estudyante at yung credibility nung sinasubmit nila. So yun po yung nakita lang namin. And we already shipped with the new LMS during that half of that period. Kasi po, ang kagandahan po sa Enverga, meron na po kami talaga new LMS beforehand. Bago pa po dumating ang pandemic, we already equipped the faculty and the students with the new LMS training. So medyo hindi pa lang po ganun na-adapt na mabuti ng mga faculty and students, but then doon po namin inilagay yung mga assessment namin for that period. Kasi wala na po kami ibang choice. Lalo most especially po pag board course yung hawak mo. So dapat po ay ma-consider na yung talagang sagot ng estudyante is timed. So yun po ang ginamit namin ni LMS during that time. Thank you.
Okay po. Sir Ruel, this parang ito sa akin into question now punta tayo dun sa big question na ni-raise. Do you think assessment raise a question of learning experience? As far as, for example, kanina ni-raise yung sir yung traditional assessment, and then we wanted to the way we assess our students created a very different learning experience.
Yeah, sometimes the mode of assessment does not jibe with the learning context. And so cheating comes in. So my proposal is, I shared this with you, that Professor Dr. Amor studied at Malaysia. I studied at Indonesia. In Indonesia, we follow the traditional way of taking up all the courses needed in order to graduate. In the case of Ma'am Amor, all her classmates and herself were given just one dissertation. And that dissertation encompasses all the possible courses under that doctorate program. Parang ganun ang gusto kong palabasin na mawawala na yung mga traditional quantitative blah 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 measurement. We will be just after the finished product. So hindi palagay ko yan yung solution dun sa pandemic issue natin.
Okay po. Dr. Balagtas, what do you think an assessment created really a very different learning experience to our learner?
Hindi pa naman po. Palagay ko para hindi pa naman napi-feel ng mga estudyante na different talaga yung learning experience. It's the same thing. The only difference now is it's not face-to-face. But it's still the same thing because we still give them the same assessment, formative and summative.
Okay po.
Kaya nga sa panahon ngayon, syempre, mas marami yung reaction papers simply because para lang maka-cope with the situation and so that they can really submit and so that we could find out really what they feel about the lesson that we have undergone. But just what the others have said already a while ago, you cannot really, there is no guarantee on the validity and credibility of what our students submit to us.
Yeah. Yes po. Ma'am Charlene, what are your thoughts on this?
Hello po. Sorry po, sir. Again po, the question, sir.
About assessment, creating a very different learning experience.
Actually, sir, assessment really helps the students regarding the sa mga lessons po and sa learning po nila. So the question po is sorry sir, the first question again. What is that?
About assessment as a way of creating a very different learning experience.
All right. Magkakaroon po talaga ng different learning experience because of the new normal, but we can adapt naman po dun regarding po sa pag-guide po and pagmo-monitor po ng mga estudyante dun po sa kanilang learning output po. Yan lang po. Thank you.
Sir Ruel, medyo ano lang ako, we almost agreed with the philosophy of assessment on more into formative rather than summative. And having created it, for example, in the way we do it, for example, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, even in the grad school. But I'm thinking of, for example, how are we going to do it, particularly with students or courses or programs who need to take board exams?
The board exams shall follow. Ganun dapat siya. Originally, everybody knows it. Originally, the evaluation was qualitative before it became quantitative. The only problem with qualitative is on how to quantify, how to determine the degree. But I think during this pandemic period, there is always a question on cheating. We don't know if they consult their notebooks or books, or they open their social media or YouTube, whatever, in order to provide themselves answers. So that's my point. Now, sabi nga ni Ma'am kanina, ni Ma'am Balagtas, may question na dun sa validity. And I agree with that. Kaya what will be the use of using the quantitative form of assessment kung may question yung validity? Kaya ako dun sa magagawa nila, anyway, in the Bloom's taxonomy, ang highest educational learning objective ay creation, to create something. And that thing which is created, yun ang ating i-judge, i-assess using probably a simple rubric.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, sa akin naman po, on my experience, I think it created a very different experience. It's because ako po kasi as a philosopher, I have this own philosophy of assessment and I gear more into formative rather than summative. So I don't care with the quantitative numbers. It's because as much as possible, I wanted to look into the progress of the students. And based on my experience, it lead into the more individualized form of learning, particularly on students. Why? It's because nakikita mo yung progress based on the formative consultations that you have, and then nagli-lead into nalelesser yung competition with students, but it leads more into collaboration. It's because mas naaano yung individuated assessment. Kaya it created a very different learning communities among students. Kaya if I ask them, for example, for a kind of a certain assessment, for example, na 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 collaborative, they don't have issues on that. Kasi medyo ano nila that the grade in itself is the formative, because the focus is more into ang focus ko po kasi is more into the feedbacking, which hindi nakikita yung measurement in terms of quantity. But ang hirap ding tingnan yung ang hirap ding i-measure. Parang sa atin na-appreciate mo lang that your students are na-appreciate ka, pero you don't know really na kung talagang bang yung learning nila ay nag ano into, for example, into something that is tangible. But for my students, for example, nakapag-publish sila ng mga research, and that is a good way of changing the mindset. Yun yung experience ko na nag-create. Pero ngayon based on our experience of this, 'di ba? Of assessment, and we are shifting into new normal. The question now is, do we really need to shift and to have 180 degrees change into assessment? From pre-COVID to new normal assessment, meron po bang, or we just need to retain this kind of assessment?
Para sa akin din, we need the shift. And personally, I don't like to go back to the old. Kasi I believe that in order to know what is known, we have to begin with what is. In order to know what is unknown, we have to begin with what is known. Halimbawa, pinagawa mo ng table yung anak mo, alam mo na yung mga imperfect na lagari niya o pagpapako. Hindi mo naman sasabihin sa kanya na, anak, 85%. Hindi mo naman sasabihin ganun eh. Sasabihin mo ay, anak, itong pagkakalagari mo nito, dapat ganito, dapat ganyan. And we are after the table. We are not after the numbers.
Okay po. Sige, Sir Christopher, what are your thoughts on this?
I guess, sir, I tend to agree with that, no? Because we really need qualitative assessment now. However, I guess we need to incline our syllabus, because if we want them to create, of course, our objectives should be creation also, no? So that's probably what I think about that.
Okay, Ma'am Isabel.
Sir, siguro share ko lang po yung ginagawa ko with my students. So yung mga binibigay ko po kasi mga formatives po yung activities na related sa isang topic or module. So yung kada activity po kasi na yun ay meron, dahil nga po nga centralized kami, meron na pong naka-indicate na rubric. So although nagbibigay po ako ng points base dun sa rubric, sa mga criterias, but then I also make sure na nagbibigay pa rin ako ng comments with regards to their activities. For example po, there is this one activity I have given with my students na ito ay presentation regarding an issue or event from our past, because this is sa subject ko po with Philippine history. And then, meron po akong isang, tawag dito, may isang student po na nag-submit ng kanyang output na presentation overall, maganda po siya, but then some of the contents, kung titingnan po dun sa contents ay medyo kulang pa rin dun sa information. So although meron pong numeric na grading na binigay na ako sa kanya, nilinaw ko po dun sa aking comment kung bakit ganun lang yung naging grade niya. So yun po.
Pero yung question, ma'am, na do we need to shift? For example, from your traditional going into a migrated way of assessing?
Yes po, sir. So I think mas maganda po nga yung mag-shift na rin po from the previous po na nakasanayan natin into the new one po.
So, but siguro ang question then, what if we go back to the normal? For example, wala nang wala nang pandemic. Are we going back again to this traditional assessment, or are we going to move forward?
I think we have to pick up what really works so well. Hindi po ba na ginagawa natin? We are trying to experiment on things and try to find out which ones are very workable and which ones are not workable. Now, if you go back to the normal, to the it's just a combination, I guess, of both, because we cannot escape really from the traditional one, but we cannot also disregard what we have learned from this pandemic, what has happened to our learning experiences, and what really works so well with the faculty and with the students. Then why not pick them up and combine that with what we used to do during the traditional ones?
Okay po, ma'am Giselle, what are your thoughts on this?
Personal experience ko po, since na-OBIDize ang aming
details.
syllabus
Just
at na-focus outcomes-based na
Ilan ito? Apat?
Gradually po, since na-OBIDize na siya, may gradual shift na nangyari po. Hindi, pag sa mga summative
Bakit wala yung kanya?
Para na-quantify. May mga assessments kami na hindi na pina-quantify. Kaya nga po, nabanggit ko kanina na yung mga activities namin halos sa Department of Languages and Humanities ako, halos research-based siya at saka practice. So may gradual shift po rin talaga na nangyayari. And we need to embrace that. Kung parang sa personal view ko po, parang hindi na tayo talaga babalik doon sa traditional eh. We just need to parang pag-add up na lang po tayo ng knowledge.
Yes po. Now, I wanted to listen to Ma'am Vanessa, your thoughts on this.
Yes, sir. Yeah, for me, sir, I believe in a flexible and a balanced assessment, sir. Flexible meaning, performance and quantitative or qualitative assessment really depends on the subject and the learning contents or the learning competencies. We cannot really say that we need to do it purely not purely, but we don't need to see it na parang sige, purely qualitative tayo, but rather, we need to consider the subject matter. We need to consider the learning competencies because we measured different domains. And for it to be a holistic one, we need to cater all the cognitive, the psycho, and the psychomotor domain. In that sense, I would like to rate it into a balance assessment. Balance in a way that we do also traditional and we also do it the other one, the authentic one or the performance-based one. Gaya po ng mga nabanggit din po na ating mga kasamahan, we shift talaga, but hindi natin kailangan kalimutan yung nakaraan kasi it will be what do you call this, a stepping stone for a new one kasi hindi pwedeng makalimutan yun kasi nga gaya ng sinasabi ko kanina, I believe in a flexible so that when we go back, kung makakabalik pa nga po tayo sa dati, we have these methods at kung po forward naman po tayo, we have lot of things na natutunan for the assessment that we had right now. So again, tama rin po yung mga sinabi nyo, but for me po, I believe in a flexible and a balanced assessment po for this new learning modalities. Thank you po, sir.
Okay, and Sir Chris.
Yes, sir. So I guess if we go back to the traditional, no? Wait, probably we can make it a kasi nung bago mag-pandemic, the qualitative assessment are actually neglected probably with most of the educators. But now probably they see the importance. No, probably when we go back to the traditional, probably we can make a combination and focusing more on the qualitative assessment.
Okay, Ma'am Monet, what are your thoughts? Natanong po ba si Ma'am Monet? Parang
Yes, sir. With regards po sa in terms of assessment, whether we will shift or not. So sa palagay ko po, dahil is a new normal, I think it's better that we shift kasi iba po yung platform that we are using today. But if ever na babalik po tayo sa magno-normal na po lahat, it's better po that gamitin pa rin natin yung old ones, but then we adopt pa rin po yung mga bagong that we are using today. So parang combination. Gaya nga po ng sinabi ni ma'am, what works well and kung ano yung dapat in a particular objectives that we want. Thank you po.
okay. Siguro last ano lang natin to conclude last conclusions natin from yung challenges na lang na nakikreate natin, particularly with this new ways of assessment. Siguro yun yung pwede nating na last natin conversation. Ma'am Giselle.
For me po talaga yung talagang challenging sa yung student engagement at saka yung paano natin sila mapipilit na mag-submit kasi very very flexible po talaga yung approach.
Yes po. Then Ma'am Vanessa.
Sir, siguro yung gathering of data, gathering of their performances, gaya po ng sinabi ko dito po sa amin sa SLSU, where find it hard to retrieve the module sometimes. Tsaka po yung mga estudyante po namin dahil po nasa malayo silang lugar like San Andres, Quezon, at binabagyo, inuulan. So yung internet connectivity po is hindi stable. So when you have your exam on through internet, nagkakaroon po ng gap. So yung validity and reliability po noong mga answers nila apektado po. So yung delivery sir at saka po yung retrieval of the responses. Thank you po.
Yes po. The next ay Ma'am Carlene.
Po sir. Apa. Yung shifting po at yung monitoring po ng learnings po ng mga bata ang pinaka-importante po ngayong new normal. It's the most important, and kung babalik nga po tayo from normal, kailangan pa rin po natin, I agree with Ma'am Amelia Balagtas po that we need to have some mix yung flexible learning at saka po i-adapt po yung bago at saka po yung old curriculum, parang ganun po. Thank you po.
Okay po. And then Ma'am Isabel.
With regards po dun sa siguro pinakang challenge lang po talaga with the assessment is yun nga yung nabanggit na po kanina is yung credibility ng answers po ng mga students, yung mga pinapasa po nila. Lalo na po pag yung mga in a forms of essays. So although meron po kasing ilan mga students although maganda yung mga nasabi nila na isagot nila with their essay. But then sometimes when I check it sa Google, sometimes nakikita ko na yun exactly yung kumbaga nandun sa sagot nila. So yun po yung pinakang challenge talaga, yung credibility ng answers nila.
Okay, Dr. Avila po.
Students in the old normal are usually taught to pass the tests, but seldom to solve their problems. And that's my point. The main purpose of education is to be victorious over challenges. And I think that's the solution for qualitative assessment.
Okay po. And then Sir Christopher. Nawala na yata si Sir Chris. Sino pa ba yung Ma'am Giselle?
Dana po, Mamonet na po. Dr. Tindahan.
Okay.
Oo, kaya mata-mata. Hello, sir. Ayun, sir. Challenge po is probably student engagement and validity of the submitted responses ng students.
Okay po. Thank you po sa ating conversation. Ano? Parang ang sarap pa natin magkwentuhan. Ang daming topics na talagang nagre-raise ng mga questions. Ano, it lead us to a better understanding but more of a question, particularly with regards to our practices. Siguro, bago po muna tayo pumunta sa plenary, I would like to ask muna if we could have a picture taking po ng ating group para naman po ay ano tayo. Pwede po ba? Okay. Nire-request po natin na si Ma'am Carlene ang ating assign na magre-re-echo ng ating conversation today. So,
Hi, Cha.
sige po.
Hello pa.
Magkasama yata si Ma'am Monet. Hindi ba yata nasa ano? Sige, ito po yung ano natin. Sige po, ano na po. Ma'am
Sige po, Ma'am
Sarmiento.
Jazz.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, isa pa po para may mas magandang angulo tayong may makuha. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Sayang hindi napasama si Dr. Balagta sa ating picture taking. Dapat pala nag-uumpisa muna tapos yung end. Okay, it's really a nice conversation. Do you want to go back na po ba or gusto niyo makapagkwentuhan muna para it's a small group? Kwentuhan. Hintayin na lang natin 3 minutes more.
Ano yan?
Si Ma'am Vanessa, ay hindi ko po makita Ma'am Vanessa yung surname nyo.
Sir, Subieta po.
Julieta.
Vanessa Zubieta po. Zubieta.
Okay. Okay. Ma'am Carlene, I already sent you the link of our conversation. So, bahala na lang po kayo na
Yes po, sir.
Medyo mabilis lang yun. So,
Thank you po.
So,
Hello everyone. So we're may feedback. Dinrod and company. We're back at the plenary, and maybe we could hear at least one representative per group to at least share to us in a minute. Din, in a minute, all your takes, hindi, some of your takes doon sa ating FGD group. Ano yung mga key points that were discussed, and maybe later tomorrow, we will dissect and dig more so we can explore, discover other lesson learned or experiences from our colleagues in their settings. So if you have comments still, please feel free to chat it. By the way, thank you so much for participating our survey. There is one more survey, but we will have it tomorrow. And you can start actually responding to other survey. And for those who responded to the survey, we will have the raffle draw tomorrow of the 15 participants who will be drawn dun sa out of 50 responses dun sa academic academic preference survey natin. So magkakaroon tayo ng raffle draw dun sa mga nagpa-participate sa survey. Okay? So to encourage everyone to please find time to contribute to the generation of knowledge, especially with regard to assessment, and the other one with regard to pandemic, exploring the influence of uncertainties of COVID-19. It will help us in trying to see the impact, measuring the impact, assessing the impact of the uncertainties that we are experiencing at the moment and its influence or effects in our organizational climate and knowledge sharing activities. Nasa group chat. Also, we encourage everyone to please join our Facebook group, our official Facebook group. Nasa chat na rin po ang ating attendance. Please find time to do the attendance. And I think in closing, Dinrod, ako na ba magko-close? And we're going to still have the sharing. Mabilisan lang.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Siguro.
Takeaways.
Sige. Start ng group.
Ano sabi?
Ang bilis.
Ha?
Hindi.
Ano sabi ni Ma'am Brenda?
Group 4.
Sa group 4. Simulan na natin sa group 4.
Magtatawag ako. Okay lang.
Mabilisan lang. Isa lang ha. Bawal
1 minute lang. Oo, 1 minute. Si Ma'am ano?
Okay, please.
Ma'am Jennifer Reyes.
Let's have the group 4.
Ma'am Jennifer Reyes of group 4. Okay lang.
Yes po. Anyway, my talk is not yet ended. I will officially end it.
Si Ma'am Jennifer.
Okay.
Yan.
Ma'am Jennifer, please take it away.
Hello po, good afternoon po. Thank you so much po to our speaker this afternoon, Sir Reynald Cacho and Ma'am Brenda Villamor for holding our break session po. Sige po, in behalf of Group 4, I will speak in behalf of them. We have 6 different HEIs po. So we all agree that our class should be engaging. What experiences we would like to create in our class? A class with active participation po. Like during discussion, we always inject Q&A, recitation, and sharing from our students. There should always be an interactive discussion by injecting yung mga Kahoot, sir, yung mga online games, and then survey then with the use of our LMS. And then problem solving naman po sa iba, depende po sa subject. And of course, there should be a collaboration. Yung work by group team, yung assigning leader, and of course, yung katulad po ng ginagawa natin, may mga breakout session. And then, what else? For the opportunities naman po, ay dinandyan po yung able to think the box, creative engaging in technology. And then, sabi po ng isa naming kasamahan, the new normal gave way to all faculty members to innovate, to upgrade ourselves. Support from the school owners who provided gadget pa nga po dun sa mga students, unfortunate students na wala po silang gadget para po makapag-engage sila sa online. Kesa po ay maiwan po sila sa modular. And then, for the challenges po, talaga naman pong marami. Pero mostly, ang na-identify po namin ay yung checking of written exercises, especially po sa short essay. Kasi kapag long essay, reflection, concept, research, we have Turnitin. However, do sa mga short essay, doon po tayo nagkakaroon pa ng problema, gawa po ng kakakopy and paste ng mga estudyante sa internet. So doon po tayo nagkakaroon kasi we need time. Yun din po yung na-identify ng iba. And then, internet connection because some of our students living in far areas. And then, we would like our students to know po that this online flexible learning is an enjoyable thing to do and not just a requirement to fulfill. Gusto po nating lahat na ma-feel ng estudyante yung feel of excitement sa pagpasok sa Zoom class. And another one quoted in this new normal where face-to-face session is impossible and that we have no choice but to hold class online, one of the challenging experience is how to win the attention of the students. We have to be creative in delivering of the content during synchronous classes. And we all agreed po doon. According to a Greek proverb nga po, sabi ay, 1 minute of patience is equal to 10 years of peace. So despite of those challenges, with love and patience, nothing is impossible.
Wow.
Yun po. Maraming
Thank you.
salamat po at magandang hapon.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Ma'am Brenda, for facilitating the group and having Ma'am Jennifer. Next, Dean Rod, whose group? Sino pong available?
Yes po. I was the representative po for Dr. Rodrigo Abenes po.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So,
Take it away.
for the assessment, we have members of Dr. Balagtas. We are honored to have Dr. Avila, Prof. Isabel from STI, and Ma'am Sarmiento, Professor Sarmiento from Enverga, and Professor Monet, and also Professor Christopher from Baptist College, and Miss Hannah po from PNUSL of Zubieta po, si Ma'am Zubieta. So, good afternoon everyone po. And this is the short as a narrative and story of experience on the challenge of assessments before COVID-19. So, all teachers were shocked about the quarantine measures and lockdowns. Teachers were challenged about the validity and credibility of their traditional assessments. From our group, we actually have the new normal, the situation, the same questions that we had with our discussion. These live experiences of teachers from giving us their personal reflection po from different schools that we have raises a questions of their philosophy po of different assessments that will help the students po for further learning. So, narrative and story of experience on the challenge assessment before COVID-19. Yun nga po, problems naman po tayo with institutional directives on assessment. Ang sabi po ng grupo, which is standardizations regarding the grading system, may nag-raise po ng question which is Dr. Balagtas po from Mark, minsan po, we need to have flexible po, we adopt the new and the old po. So, quantitative rather than qualitative daw po yung dun po sa amin. So, teachers' autonomy versus institutional directives on assessment. All of the institution po dun sa group namin agrees that assessment create different learning experiences. So, we call on for new ways of assessment. The questions whether we will be going back to the yun po yung questions nung isa po sa amin sa grupo. One pointed out that we still need to revisit the yung old po and the new assessment po. Make a synthesis guidelines on new assessments. A balanced assessment po from Monet Tenorio and challenges. Mga challenges po, medyo madami rin po siya kaming natalakay. So, problem with responses and monitoring and active participation. But all in all, we can beat naman po the new normal by giving by mentoring each other po. Thank you very much po sa CHED and sa PNS Sir Reynald Cacho. Salamat po sa Philippine Normal University. Thank you po.
Yes, Dean Rod, who's next? Thanks so much for that sharing experience. May we have the next group, please?
Sir Ray, sa group po namin.
Yes po. Recognize po.
We call Ma'am Crystal Quintana.
Okay. Marie Gracia, represented by Ma'am.
Good afternoon po, Sir Reynald. Thank you so much po sa inyong napakagandang presentation. Marami po kaming natutunan. With regards po dun sa aming group, konti lang po kami, parang nasa 5 lang yata kami and including si Ma'am, parang 6 kami. So, with regards to assessment po, so nag-sharing kami ng mga different ways on how we can assess our students. So, we do videos for performance tasks, lalo na sa mga PE subjects natin. And then we use Google Forms. We use quizzes na available doon sa ating mga LMS. And then, doon po sa isa naming kasama na nasa taga-main campus po ng Enverga, dahil ang galing siya sa computing department, gumagamit po siya ng screen capture para makita kung talagang napoprogram ng bata yung kanilang assignment o yung assigned task nila. So we also find a lot of difficulties with regards to assessment. Una-una po dyan yung cheating. Okay, so still very rampant pa rin po siya. Sharing of answers, screenshot, then share. So yung iba po, kagaya namin, we make use of time limit para po at least kahit pa paano hindi sila makapag-deviate into cheating. And then yun nga po, meron tayong difficulty sa paggagawa ng assessment natin, lalo na kung hindi masyadong techy yung teacher. So nandun yung difficulty niya na ilapat doon sa technology yung kanyang assessment. And then, of course, we also have difficulty in choosing the assessment platform na babagay po doon sa ating mga subjects. But in my case, for example, sa English subject, we do yung mga videos to validate at saka po para ma-monitor yung mga authentic assessments natin. So para din siyang PE na kailangan po i-video ng bata. So we also find it na even though there are problems na na-encounter natin, nagigi po siyang isang opportunity para po ang teacher ay maging mas creative, mas innovative, para makapag-isip pa siya ng mas magandang mga paraan and effective ways on how the teacher can very well do the assessment, the proper assessment sa ating mga estudyante and sa mga knowledge and skills na natutunan nila. So though there are many issues and problems, nakikita natin na walang problema na hindi kayang lampasan ng mga guro. So even though ito na new normal sa education, we see based from the sharing ng lahat ng mga teachers natin, ng mga administrators natin, laging meron tayong solusyon. So yun po yung isang magandang bagay na nakita natin ngayong hapon na kahit may problema, ito yung solusyon. Kahit mukhang walang solusyon, gagawan at hahanapan pa rin po natin ng solusyon. So yun po, sir. Thank you so much.
Pag na-solve na natin lahat, gagawa tayo ng problema.
Sige, sir. Wag naman po.
No, of course not. No. We're going to improve.
Okay.
Tama po yun, ma'am. Thank you so much. Well noted, ma'am, yung sa cheating. There are so many ways we can address that. But actually, yung problema natin sa technology, we cannot really standardize or make one experience. Iba-iba yung access sa technology. So being highly dependent dun sa quiz or dun sa real-time quiz ay kailangan po siguro meron tayong alternative assessment na pwedeng gawin. We can validate kung may mga submissions sila. Kung real-time man yan, at least dapat kita natin na yung background, walang hawak na cellphone ng estudyante. Kung hanggat maaari, they're answering it in a device na meron pang other video. Kaso, yun na nga ma'am, yung the authenticity, the integrity of those of the result of the one taking the exam is very hard issues. Mabigat yan, lalo na kung yung identity, kung yun ba mismo yung gumagawa, siya ba mismo yung gumagawa, habang ginagawa niya, sinasagutan niya, wala ba siyang ibang kinakausap? Kasi ang dami ngayong ways to cheat. But we can address it. And napakinggan ko nga kanina din sa group chat is let's focus more on the qualitative aspect. Pwede po siguro yun. Thank you very much, Ma'am Crystal. Let's have the next group.
Sir Ray?
Yes po.
Okay, so from our group po, halos lahat po sila nag-share. But I will choose po si Sir Julio from Mary Hill College. Sir Julio,
please.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good afternoon po everyone, and thank you very much for this opportunity. Naging interactive po yung sharing namin this afternoon, at ito po yung lumabas sa amin pong sharing sa focus group discussion po namin. Concerning po sa assessment, sa new normal setup ay medyo mahirap po talaga, and everyone is still coping up. Ang mga teachers po ngayon ay learners na rin. Because even the faculty is still learning on how to assess the students very well. Some of our fellows in the focus group discussion mentioned that what they do is peer tutoring and practice exercises po. Ang isa pong common na nakita namin sa mga estudyante po namin ay para po ba silang anxious because once they have submitted their works already, palagi silang nagtatanong ng immediate feedback coming from the teachers. So para bang ang laging iniisip ng mga bata papasa ba ako ngayong new normal na ito? Kaya palagi po silang nagtatanong kung ano po yung feedback ng mga teachers. Others would say that I think the best form of assessment for this new normal setup would be rubric-based po para matulungan din ang mga bata. At yung pong kailangan talagang dumiskarte as to assessment katulad ng pagkakaroon ng interactive classroom experience sa pamamagitan po ng LMS, sa gamification, sa Jamboard po ang isa pong sinasuggest ng aming kasama is to create a learning space at home so that the students will not be anxious as to undergoing this new normal setup in education. And aside from simply learning or teaching the students what to learn, we believe in our group that what is more important is to let our students appreciate not only the subject or not only the course, but also the learning experience that comes with this new normal setup. Because again, similar to what most of our group mates have said, even the faculty members are still in the learning process. So that would be all po. Thank you so much po sa ating lahat at maraming salamat din po PNU South Luzon for this opportunity to participate in this webinar series po.
Thank you, sir. Sir, nakamute ka ata.
Next yata.
Next group is
okay po. For our group, may I call on Engineer Ramirez.
Please, Engineer Ramirez, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon po. Thank you very much po for the opportunity for sharing this one. Medyo maganda yung naging discussion namin, although medyo siguro marami naman po kami, kaya lang siguro yung iba nakikinig na lang sa amin. Pero anyway, at any rate, I think pare-parehas naman kami ng naging consensus dito. So on the idea of what do we want the students to have at the end of every module, ang naging basis po namin is yung design and creation. Kasi mostly po, higher order thinking skill din yung iniisip. It's the design and the creation. So, marami po kaming nakita doon sa challenges. Like for example, challenges on the orientation of the students. Orientation as to sino ba ang dapat talaga matuto. Yung bang estudyante, yung teacher, dapat nagtuturo. So yung orientation ng estudyante is also a challenge. So another is yung capacity po ng estudyante. Capacity in terms of financial capacity. Kasi merong pagdating sa interconnectivity, minsan hindi problema yung interconnectivity . Ang problema, they don't have the finances para magkaroon ng umattendo sa online synchronous discussion. And then also yung capability ng estudyante, like for example dun sa problem solving, kasi more of the design and creation nga kami, because we are on the engineering side. I am talking personally, sir, of my experience. So dun sa engineering, I am teaching the engineering, the architecture, and the maritime education. So most of the subjects are problem solving, and most of the subjects also would require a licensure examination. So the capability as well as the capacity and the willingness of the students, sa lahat ng yun, all in all, would constitute on the challenges. And also, kung napag-usapan din namin yung self-determined determined learning. Kasi yun nga sir, ang naging experience ko, like for example, ang initial na idea ko is I will have the asynchronous, let the student solve the different problems, and yung problems na yon, these are problems which are naka-pattern based doon sa standard ng PRC, which is the licensure examination. Doon sila nahirapan. So, sila na rin mismo, yung estudyante na rin mismo ang nag-request, ma'am, hindi ho namin kakayanin ng walang assistance ng professor. So, ang nangyari, we combined. We combined the online synchronous and the online asynchronous. Ang problema lang, yun nga, meron internet connectivity, minsan wala talagang kapasidad yung estudyante na maka-online synchronous. Minsan din naman attitude problem sa estudyante. So, nabanggit ko rin yung attitude, nabanggit din doon sa usapan namin kanina, yung attitude building. Siguro ang pinakang importante na lang is ma-orient ang estudyante na learning. Tama si sir yung kanina, sinabi niya na appreciate the learning experience. Kasi pag doon ang naging focus ng estudyante, kahit na anong dami ng pinagagawa mo, appreciated nila yan eh. Because they will be the one who will benefit later on. Pag na-acquire nila yung knowledge, skills, at saka yung competency on problem solving, later on, when they take the board examination, wala na sila magiging problema. So, it's part of the assessment din na medyo naging challenge din. Kasi how are you going to merge? Kumbaga, ano yung magiging intervention mo between those challenges? And also, napag-usapan kanina po yung qualitative and quantitative. Nabanggit do sa amin na it's more of the qualitative. Ako po personally, I would suggest the qualitative. Pero although gumagamit kami ng quantitative, so the quantitative can be, pwede namang transfer. Kumbaga meron siyang equivalent na qualitative para lang ma-lessen yung competition. Kasi more of, ang nangyayari po kasi pag quantitative, minsan ang naging orientation din ng estudyante on the competition. So they would compare their grades to the other students. So mas napopokus dun sa competition. Pero pwede naman po yung magkasama. I think it would be better na nag-merge yung dalawa. So meron siyang quantitative at saka qualitative. So I think that would be all po, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. Well noted, ma'am, yung problems sa access at the same time the participation sa synchronous. What we can do is to record our synchronous, and later on, once we have the access, once we have provided the capability, they can view again what happened in the synchronous session. Ma'am, siguro yung recording ng mga synchronous session natin, mahalaga para ma-share natin yun sa mga estudyante can later view it in a later time.
Oo, yes sir. Pero meron din kasing estudyante na they would want na yung during live na magtatanong sila yung kasi po yung real-time feedback talaga sir. Kasi during yung course of problem solving, nai-inject mo yung theories na explain mo sa kanila while you are solving the problem. Pag meron silang medyo naisip na ano nga ba yung problema ko dito, parang hindi ko to malaman, nababalikan mo sir eh. Unlike kung halimbawa pre-recorded lang yung video mo, ano po yun, meron po akong mga ganang ginagamit, supplementary. Pero much appreciated po ng estudyante talaga yung merong real time.
And pag masyado yung mahaba yung video, inatok na sila, boring na. Kaya we also need to package our videos later on para maging viewable siya.
Yes, sir. Opo, very challenging po yan sa engineering, sa problem solving. Very challenging po na maging interesting sa kanila yon. Kasi lalo na pagka ang tinuturo mo na is integral calculus. Pag minsan na yan, medyo... Opo, medyo maano po yun.
Ramirez, thank you. Let's have the last group. I think, if I'm not mistaken, salamat po ng marami, engineer. Sir Noli,
actually, yung sa last group natin, nagkaroon tayo doon ng technical problem kasi halos wala tayong marinig doon sa mga participants.
Parang may nakausap ka, Sir Noli. Siguro kaunti
pero last part po yata yun. Nagsalita si Ma'am Teresa. I just don't know kung nandito po si Ma'am Tessa. Ma'am Tessa, are you here po? Can you share something po with regards to dun sa mga conversations po natin? Kasi ako lang po halos ang nagsalita po doon sa buong session namin, tapos sumasagot lang po sila ng via chat. So, yun po. Kung nandito po si Ma'am Tessa, can you share something po? Okay, parang nagkaroon po yata ng technical problems.
Sir, siguro i-sum up ko na so we can end the session this afternoon. But before I end, just for quick synthesis, I will present a 3-minute video to end the session this afternoon. It has something to do with assessment, to the better learning that we need in this in this time. Let me share this video about a better learning, better life video I created 8 years ago to sum up somehow what we had this afternoon. So this is an 8-year-old video, but still relevant today. How do we create better learning, better life? To sum up these sessions, let us have this experience. So, better learning, better life is about learning out of the board empty hand. Better learning for us means more than the pen and paper. Yun yung appreciation ko na. More than drama and drama, more than the geometric shape or engineering problem, life of history icons, literature, photo editing, grades, and medals. The score, the numericals, or even more than this video. Yes. So we learn better, but again, we recognize the challenges. What are those challenges? Consider these challenges. What are those? We don't have enough technologies. We have technology, but it's not enough. We don't want to change. But pandemic is changing us. We need to do more. Let them young do it mentality. We're all now working together. No more no can attitude, because again, we don't need to talk. We have to engage with our students. What are the solutions we need? We need the right tools for research, collaboration, more than working individual communication, visualization, management, problem solving, creativity, and of course, plus the ultimate resources. Who are those? We are the ultimate resource, innovative teachers. So what are we doing? We should optimize the use of mobile phones, computer, even Facebook 8 years ago, Google apps, and Google has already the apps needed, and a lot more apps promising, and they are now here. Better learning prepare us for the future, better life. With infinite possibilities, complexities, and uncertainties. We can be ready as long as it's learning out of the board and beyond. We need to go out of the classroom. We need to have the learning management system. We need to learn at home. And of course, thank you so much. We produced this 8 years ago, courtesy of the Lopez National Creative Team. Again, thank you so much.